So Katherine yearned to know as much as she could about numbers, about the universe, about everything. Katherine's boundless curiosity turned her into a star student. She was so bright, she skipped 3 whole grades. She catapulted right past her brother. So her brother was in the 2 grades ahead of her. And she was so smart and so bright, she passed her brother. By the time she was 10, she was already ready for high school. But back then, America was legally segregated by race. What does that mean?
Black people couldn't go to the white people's school. White people couldn't go to black people's school.
Very good. So, even though she was so smart, she was ready for high school, America was segregated by race, so there wasn't an all-black school that she could go to, right? She was burned with fury. She wanted more than anything to keep learning. There was still so much to know. So here she was, this young girl who was already advancing out of high school, wanted to go to a high school, but she couldn't because there was no high school that accepted blacks at that time. So her father said, "Count on me, Katherine." By working night and day, he earned enough money to move the family to a town with a black high school. So Katherine loved high school. She was good at every subject, but math was still her favorite. She dreamed of becoming a research mathematician, making discoveries about the number patterns that are the foundation of our universe. In those days, though, there were no jobs as research mathematicians for women. Professions most available to them were teaching and nursing. So Katherine became an elementary school teacher. She liked her job and she loved her students, just like your teacher. She likes her job and she loves her students. But she never stopped dreaming about exploring numbers. In the 1950s, the United States government's National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics hired thousands of new employees. It even started hiring black women as mathematicians. Yay. So Katherine heard about the mathematician jobs. Her heart raced with excitement. Perhaps her dream could come true after all. But when she applied for one of the positions, she was told that they were already filled. So Katherine had to wait a whole year until new spots opened up. Her patience paid off and she finally got her job. After a few years, the Soviet Union sent a rocket ship into space, launching a space race with the United States. The NACA was rolled into a new space agency. And so they created this new space agency because the United States and the Soviet Union were not getting along. Katherine now found herself at the heart of America's space program. So she got into the program. She worked as a computer. Electronic computers were not used yet. So they used people. So now we have computers to do all that work for us. You know how you can go and log in and research? Back then, they didn't have those computers. They had people who would do those numbers, login numbers, have different algorithms, try to figure out measurements. All the computers were women. They were even given tasks that men thought were boring and unimportant. But that didn't bother Katherine. She knew that without her contributions, a spaceship could not reach its destination, nor could it safely return to Earth. So she was so excited about helping build a spaceship. So sending a rocket ship into space is like throwing a ball into the air. At first, the force of the throw sends the ball up and up and up. But as its energy runs out, the ball's path curves back toward the ground. Where it lands depends on what angle it was thrown and how high and how fast it flew. Because math is a kind of language, Katherine could ask those questions. How high would a rocket ship go? And how fast could it travel? Using numbers. Katherine did plotted line numbers, and when she joined the points together, she formed a curved line. So she actually used her graph paper to point out, to chart the course of a rocket ship, right? Okay. So Katherine's reputation for accuracy and strong leadership skills, and she was also known for asking plenty of questions, got her promoted to Project Mercury. And this program was designed to send the first American astronauts into space. So Mercury's missions were going to be dangerous. So dangerous that even the project's star astronaut, anybody know who this? His name was John Glenn. Remember that name? John Glenn refused to fly unless Katherine okayed the numbers. So Katherine was promoted again. Now she was asked to calculate the flight paths for Project Apollo. The first flight to where? Where was this spaceship going? Somewhere it never went to, but space. Where was it was going to land? Where?
Mars.
The moon. Gotcha. Good job. It's going to be the first flight to the moon. And Katherine said, absolutely, count on me. So on July 20th, 1969, the Apollo 2 astronauts walked where for the very first time?
On the moon.
On the moon. Apollo 13 launched on April 11th, 1970. But on the third day of Apollo's 13 flight, the worst thing that could happen to a flight happened. Back on Earth, Katherine Johnson got a phone call. Her flight path calculations would have to be done all over again and perfectly. It would be the toughest challenge of her life. Katherine told the mission control, you can count on me. She rolled up her sleeves, took a deep breath, and began doing the math. She worked hard and she worked fast. So this time they had to go to the backside of the moon. That's what her calculations told them. If the astronauts made any mistakes, their ship would drift off in space forever. So Katherine waited anxiously to hear the astronauts' report. Finally, we've got it. The Apollo 13 was back on track. Katherine had done it. She brought Apollo 13 home. She was no longer the kid that dreamed of what lay beyond the stars. She was now a star herself.